Hi everyone, I'm Tally, this is Farrell and we are bored of it, and welcome to our review of Nucleum, which is for 1 to 4 players and is set in an alternate history where nuclear power was discovered in 19th century Saxony. The players take on the role of industrialists looking to create rail networks and energy infrastructure in order to generate and supply power to the population.
So Nucleum is the hot new Euro darling of the moment at time of writing, and this is because there's been a lot of comparisons between it and Brass Birmingham and Barrage. Now these are both games that get people excited, including us, since you'll find both those games in both of our top 10 games of all time. Now it's got elements of them. So it's got the network building and tile flipping from Brass, it's got the energy infrastructure and production from Barrage, but it's also got a few tricks of its own with a devilishly delightful action selection system.
Nucleum is played without rounds, so players will take it in turns until the end of the game is triggered. On your turn, you can do one of 3 actions. The first is to play an action tile to your player board, with each action tile having 2 actions on it which can be taken in any order. You can also fill a contract. The second available action is to lay new railway. Here, you'll take one of your action tiles and place it onto the main board in an empty rail space. And if the ends of that action tile match the adjacent cities or other railway tiles already on the board, you also get to take those actions. The third available action is to take a recharge. And here you'll gain income, put yourself in for endgame scoring, and then take all of the action tiles back that you had played to your player board.
Importantly, there is a concept of your network, which consists of your built buildings and your rail tiles. Now, you can build buildings with the action urbanize, and that means you have to place those buildings within your existing network. But rail link tiles can be built anywhere, meaning you can use them to create new networks. The industrialize action also has network restrictions, as this allows you to place turbines and mines on the board, but again, they have to be built within your existing network. Other important actions include develop, which allows you to take new action tiles, contracts, which allows you to take contracts, and finally energize, arguably the most important action.
Energize can be considered the accumulation of all of the other actions, as it's what allows you to produce energy, which allows you to flip building tiles to get VP, and also get achievement tokens to put yourself up for endgame scoring. The power plant, resources and building you choose for your energize action all have to be connected by rail. You'll then attempt to produce as much energy as the building requires. And to produce energy, you're going to be using up coal and uranium, although uranium can only be used if you choose a nuclear power plant represented by this Nucleum token. You may also get some free energy from your player board and your action tile. Flipped buildings will get you endgame VP and also get you achievement tokens, which are traded in during the recharge phase so that you can put tokens on a milestone board. So in essence, you're trying to build up infrastructure and a network so that you can transport resources and produce energy, ending the game with flipped energized buildings and tokens high up on the milestone board.
First thing we should probably tackle is the question, since this game keeps being brought up in the same breath as Brass and Barrage, is it better than either of them? Now, in our opinion, we would say no, and for 2 main reasons. The first reason is that both Brass and Barrage are games with, you could say, a singular focus that they hone to perfection. Whereas here, things are a little bit more shallow, a little bit less focused, just because it takes a bit of this and a bit of that. So each of those systems is a little bit thinner. And the second reason, and I can't believe it's us saying this, because generally we're not that interested in art and how it affects the game, is the art. It's so dated and unappealing in Nucleum. And I can tell you that Brass and Barrage would not have been as popular if they didn't have the stellar art that they do have, and if they instead had Nucleum's art. You know, art can elevate a theme, which then in turn will elevate the experience of gameplay. And in Nucleum, it's somewhat detracting from it.
Now, let's leave all mention of Brass and Barrage behind and turn solely to Nucleum. For good reason too, as this is a brilliant board game, one of the very best we've played this year. It hits all of the right notes. There's terrific action selection system, network building, bigger and bigger turns as the game goes on. There's a really wonderful flow to Nucleum. The actions are pretty straightforward, with perhaps the exception of energize taking a little bit more time, so the turns bounce back and forth at a rapid pace. Because there are no rounds, the flow also never stops, so it feels like you're moving towards the finish at breakneck speed. There's also a really nice sense of improvement as the longer the game goes on, the more you'll be able to do. Each time you take a recharge action, you're going to get more and more income, so you can afford more expensive buildings, turbines and mines. Your network will get more extensive, you'll be able to afford more coal, you'll have more uranium and also more bonuses, all of which make Nucleum a really fulfilling game.
Dual use of the action tiles as actions and rail links is a particularly cool idea. Firstly, it gives players agency in how they want to play, as they can curate the pool of actions available to them and very often improve the actions they have in a small way by buying new tiles. Secondly, the fact that there are also rail links is devious, because to build links you have to lose the action tiles. It's a real fine balance of placing links ahead of other players to create important networks and not reducing your pool of actions to a point where you struggle to do what you need. And this makes for a particularly engaging challenge.
Thirdly, allowing players to do an action if they correctly colour match their tiles to the adjacent city or other tiles is outstanding design and brings a whole new twist to gameplay. In other similar games, generally placing a link or route is the most boring action in the game, but here if you plan well, you'll not only get to grow your network, but also get a full turn on top. It also means that it's rare, players have a nothing turn where not much really happens, and it's also a really great feeling to combo off your rail placement and build in the city that you just added to your network. We also really like how players can build a rail link anywhere, giving everyone equal opportunity to get where they need to go.
In general, what we love about Nucleum is the fact that it gives players a bunch of toys and says, have at it in this big sandbox. Because there's no restrictions in which order you build your buildings or infrastructure, leading to a sense of freedom and living in the moment. It also leads to really interesting game states, because a player could arguably build their most expensive mine and their most expensive turbine, unlocking a level 3 technology early in the game. And there's a risk reward here, but it also gives them a massive boon to gameplay for the rest of the game. On top of that, you could build a level 4 building as your first building and then build out from that and then attempt to maximize the scoring of that building.
Just touching on the technologies, which we haven't really mentioned, each player has a semi-unique technology board. There are 8 technologies across 3 levels, and you mostly get access to them through completing contracts. There's a nice mix of instant and ongoing, which gives players a tough decision each time they choose. It also provides a bit of inter-player variability, particularly as their more powerful level 3 technologies are completely unique, necessitating a unique approach.
The one minor quibble we have with Nucleum is the achievement system. So when you take a recharge, you spend your achievement tokens to get a star up on the milestone board. Now, you can't put a star in a tier where you've already put a star. And it's one of those rules that board games sometimes have where it just seems like it's there just because. I can't see a good reason or thematic reason, and it actually becomes a bit annoying because say you do well and you get into a good tier, and then next time you do even better, but you're still kind of stuck within the barrier of that same tier, then you can't go there again. You have to drop down and go to a lower one, which means you're getting less points. And it's just very weird this is the case, considering that, first of all, you can't block spaces from other players. So it's not that you could just take over a whole tier. You can score twice for the same milestone scoring, because some of the tiers back onto the same milestone scoring. So you can kind of double up your points that way. And the fact that, you know, they're available from the start. Everyone has the same opportunity to get onto the milestone track. And it's very weird that it just is kind of hurting players for doing really well multiple times by making them get lower and lower points. And it's just, I would have preferred that anyone could really go anywhere. It seems an arbitrary restriction to us. One more comment to make, which isn't necessarily a quibble, just a consideration, is I'm not convinced about the longevity of Nucleum at 2 players. Because Nucleum is a game where when you first play your first 2-3 games, you're going to struggle, you're going to be caught short, you're never going to have enough resources, and you're going to get caught in bad situations. But eventually you're going to crack it, you're going to know how to manipulate the systems, and you probably then won't be too caught out, essentially. And you get cooking, things are comboing, and you get a lot of points. Now, the 2-player map is actually very spacious and generous to 2 players, which ends up meaning you don't really have to consider the other player, and it's kind of more of a solo game against yourself. And once you've cracked Nucleum, you're just comboing and bouncing off each other, and it can feel like you've solved the game. Whereas at 4 players, you consistently have to think about what the other players are doing, because from your turn to your next turn, an entire city could be blocked off, and you can't do anything about that. So it's not to say that it's not still brilliant at 2. It's extremely enjoyable. It's just that this is a game where if you said let's play it at 4 players, I would always get it out. Whereas after a certain amount of plays at 2, I'd probably get it out occasionally as a treat, but I wouldn't want to play it too much because it would get a little bit boring and stale once you've kind of done Nucleum, if that makes sense.
So, final thoughts. Nucleum is a downright brilliant game and one of our highlights of this year thus far. If you love Euros, then you're going to love this, and there's so much that it does right and so much that it does cleverly.
There are a few minor gripes, but we cannot recommend Nucleum enough. So that was our review of Nucleum. Thank you for watching. If it was helpful, please subscribe. It really helps grow the channel. And of course, if you have any questions, please ask us. But thanks for watching and see you next time.
Bye.